This is the Ag Engineering Podcast that rolls right into the details on tools, tips, and techniques that improve you, your farm, and our world. I'm your host, Andy Chamberlain from the University of Vermont Extension, and this podcast is sponsored by Northeast SARE. Thanks for listening. Today's episode comes to you from Southampton, New Hampshire, where I took a visit to one of the larger vegetable farms within the Northeast with Andre Cantelmo of Heron Pond Farm.
My name is Andre Cantelmo. We're here at Heron Pond Farm in Southampton, New Hampshire, where we grow 60 acres of mixed vegetables and gross between $1 million, $1.5 million a year. We have diversity in sales with wholesale, direct-to-consumer, roadside stand, farmers market, and CSA.
In this episode, we're talking about cultivation equipment, specifically a tractor from Terrateck called the Culti'track. Andre is a representative for Terrateck and imports these machines, so he goes into great detail talking about all the features and benefits that this tractor can provide. He also talks a little bit about what's involved with importing and shipping tractors from France. And I just want to apologize for the first part of this episode is a little bit distorted since the tractor was running while we were talking about it. That being said, there is a video with this piece of equipment on our YouTube channel, so make sure you check out the show notes, agengpodcast.com, to get over to YouTube and check that out if you want to see this tractor as we're walking around and talking about it. Now, let's get into the show.
Yeah, I mean, you should climb up there. I mean, like, the visibility, what I say is this is everything everybody ever wanted a G to be. This is the tiny one. The new ones, the new E-Series is an amazing creature. It's joystick controlled.
This is awesome.
Completely hydraulic. Yeah, yeah.
Air seat.
Air cushion seats. There's a seatbelt too, which one of the few tractors I actually wear the seatbelt because I feel like I'm 1,000,000 miles up in the air.
Yeah, you're up here pretty high.
It doesn't look it, but it's actually incredibly high clearance. I mean, look at the clearance.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, in your cultivating rack, because of the pitch, I'll show you. You can put the thing down, but look at your clearance here, and then this is your crop clearance. This is the lowest point on the tractor.
Yep.
Is the toolbar. I mean, that's what you want. You want the lowest point to be the actual toolbar.
Right.
And so, if you want to get fancy from Crest, you can get these extenders, and you can actually have your toolbar even higher.
Okay, yeah.
But basically, that's the low point because everything else is above it. I mean, you're way above it. And so then when we talk about tool stacking here, we have our side sweeps. These is your side sweeps. Those are half sweeps. They're going very close to the crop. You have your working sweeps that are working the soil around it. Your finger weeders that she must have been going over something rather large because normally the finger weeders are overlapping. But, that's going in and working the area right in row, right between the rows of the plants. And then we also have a set of rakes that we can put in the back, and that just takes all the things and flips everything. So you can actually be stacking three or four kinds of tools on one tool system, and you can see it all from your seat. Now the new machine doesn't have this. It has a split rail. So actually when you look down, and the steering wheel column is right off to the side, and the steering, only the wheel is in front of you. So when you look down, there's nothing. All you see is tools. You don't see any of this is gone, this is gone. That's the new wishbone front end that we have on them.
So,
yeah.
That's why you wait for the Model 2.
This is literally the Model 1.
Yeah, right.
This is actually, I can't even sell it to anybody because they when they made it, they didn't put a brake on it. So it's only the hydraulics holding you.
Okay.
But now, the new ones, whenever you let go of this, it breaks. On
Yeah,
everything is
yeah.
locked. That's why this is
It's got wheel chocks, yeah.
this is a wheel chuck. So it's like I can't even sell it.
Yeah.
It's against the law. I can only own it because I'm the dealer.
Yep.
So
Well, it doesn't look like a bad one to own.
no. And then now we have the new. This is with a 23 horsepower, and you can get the A series frames. We can get them wishboned. We can get all those things.
Yeah.
We could still get them, but they've all been modified now, and they have the braking systems, and they have the extra. We put in extra hydraulics. You know, you have a hydraulic center link on your.
Yep.
So we put a hydraulic center link in here, so you can curl your toolbar as you work. It also helps if you're looking to mount. These are changed to now quick connects.
Okay, yeah.
So like you know you have the quick hitch systems back here.
Oh, yeah, yep.
It's now up here. These are changed over to quick systems. The E series has the taller tire, so you can even operate at a different pitch. They're available in 4-wheel drive now.
So when you have a wet season,
The
you can still get out there.
the E series has a 25 and a 35 horsepower engine. They don't have depth, so they're
yep.
just under where you need to start doing that.
Not gonna collect mud on these floorboards.
Well, we did.
A little bit, but
Got to get that out of there. Yeah. Well, it's just all part of increasing the visibility.
Yep.
When I have the center, when I'm doing 3-row, it's right here. So I can barely see it through this hole. But on the E series, it's longer. So this is all out in front. And this is not a stock Crest toolbar. These linkages are shorter because of the shortness of the tractor. If you had a normal Crest toolbar, these are like much longer, which enables you to have a much deeper throw, so the toolbar could be higher.
Yeah.
But also you have more of an angle of operation. And the E-Series tractor is so long that you can actually see the entire, including the 3rd row. You can see the whole thing from the tractor seat, especially with the wishbone front end. They also, I'll show you the remote hydraulics here. They make these into a PTO version of hydraulics. So you could run a PTO motor, and you can even run a PTO that runs like a traditional geared PTO thing if you wanted to. But what we do, you could also do is I'll show you the set of brush weeders. So we run brush weeders to do the edges of black plastic.
Yep.
And you can do that. We have it set up on our old, our Argus frame, like the steerable frames. But you need 2 people for that. But now, you know, you can just go. This tractor runs almost every single day. Every single day. It just, like, you just get on it and go. It's like every piece of ground, go over it. We need another one. Really, just keep going.
Keep the dirt fresh.
Yeah, and I'll get to show you some of the benefits of it. But the larger ones, I mean, they're super sweet. I mean, like, when you start seeing those things, I mean, those are like, it is just truly amazing. Like this thing, you see it for the first time and you're like, wow. And then when you see an E-Series, you're like, holy shit. Yeah. I mean, they're just incredible. They built it in 2016. It says number 2. This is number 2. So they're many times away from 2, right?
Yes.
But you know, I was lucky enough to grab it. Culti'track was gonna try to sell them. Never could find a market for them in the United States. I've sold 6.
I was gonna say, have you sold very many of them?
I've sold 6 in a year. Not so bad.
Yeah.
And the freaking COVID year with a chain, I mean, like, I had a bunch of people who wanted to order them, and I was like, I can't get you one.
Just because everything had shut down.
The supply chain is awful.
Yeah.
The engines for these it's a 5-month wait from Yanmar.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get an engine. So, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of nice, though, that it is Yanmar, because that's a popular brand. It's not going to be hard to find.
No. And you have to put in the Yanmar filters and everything to keep your warranty. You know, so. I mean, you can only put 2 tractors in a 40-foot container.
Right.
But you know how many chassis you can put in a 40-foot container? And then if the engines were all sitting here and the
Yeah, they just
hydraulic
need
motors.
an assembly plant because you can ship all the parts real condensed, but
Or,
you can't stack tractors.
no, some of the parts you don't even want to. You know the European emissions and stuff?
Oh.
All the engines that come here are US. Every engine, hydraulic motor, everything has to have an EPA paper to it. So the Yamaha engines that go into the tractors that come to the US are not the same as the Yamaha engines that go into the ones that are in Europe. The European ones have all these emissions controls, all this extra stuff on them.
So ours, okay.
Ours are still
Stripped down.
ours still are clean, but also, even though the ones that run in Europe are cleaner, doesn't have a US EPA number. So Yamaha doesn't want, it's like registering a pesticide. They don't want to register their 35 horse European motor in the United States because they have to pay for a whole new EPA study, a whole new thing. But they already have a 35 horsepower that they run their little mini excavators and everything with, right? I mean, they're the engine in a lot of these other excavators, and now they have their own brand of excavators. But, so they just they have a US motor. So, in actuality, it would be easier to get the US motors here in the US than it is. Terrateck is the only importer. Now, they all come from Japan.
Okay,
Yeah, Yamaha.
Yep.
But Yamaha sends them all the French engines and European engines, but then sends them US engines. And Yamaha's telling me, you're the only people in all of Europe that buy US engines. And there are warehouses full of US engines over here because they're assembling the excavators here. Yamaha
They're
has
common part.
Well, Yamaha has an assembly plant here
Okay.
in the United States. So it would be easy. Same thing with the hydraulic motors. The hydraulic motors are either from China or Japan or India. That's where they get manufactured. But they send one kind to the United States because they've all been registered.
Yeah, that one's been stamped.
And then there's all the safety stuff. All the safety stuff, like the hydraulic braking systems and stuff, all have to have a US stamp on them. So they have to have been manufactured for other products in the US. So everything that tractor is made out of off-the-shelf parts here in the United States that they happen to ship into France because that's where they're building the chassis, the belly mounts, the wing systems, all of the proprietary parts of the tractor, and it's just put together there. But what if we just imported the chassis,
The proprietary stuff.
all the switching mechanism, because they have that big dashboard that controls all the different so that the tractor runs right with because now they have, you just saw that one with the belly mount, and there's ones with the front 3-point. There's ones that have wings. So you can do, if you have a 6-row planter, you can do 6-row. You can do, if you have a 3-bed planter, you can do 3-bed cultivation. You just have wings that go out, and you can do 3-bed cultivation with it. Yeah, yeah, and so, but you have to control that.
Yeah.
And so all those controllers have to be all proprietary and stuff. But if they shipped all that over, and then tractor tire is a tractor tire.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And say I don't even want to use that brand. Say I went to BT or Goodyear or
whatever. It doesn't matter. Like you said, it's a tractor tire.
Yeah, it's a tractor tire. I just make sure it's an 8-ply.
Yeah, right.
An 8-ply bar tire this size, it's a tractor tire. All of that stuff. They manufacture their own rims because the hubs were designed to accept those hydraulic motors. And so that's a whole internal design that way. But
yeah, so be it
so you get the rims, but the hydraulic motor's already sitting here in the United States somewhere. And so then, one of these tractors, just to ship it here from France, assembled, is it's $5,000-$6,000 just to get it here, and then it's got to go to the customer from here.
Right.
So
Because that's just to get it landed.
So if you're bringing in containers filled with all these other stuff, you assemble them here. And then the other thing is, everybody's like, American labor is so expensive. You know what European labor costs? That's like, it's the most expensive labor on the planet. We're cheap.
To just give you some perspective.
Yeah. So basically, you could put it together, less expensive,
With more available
with more
parts.
readily available parts. They're all sourced here, and then it's an American assembled
Right.
machine.
Which would give you a lot of brand credibility.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, now the Tillmore small tractors, they're being manufactured between here and Canada, you know. But the walk behinds, I think, are 100%. You know, the Tillmore walk behind, I think, is 100% made in America,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
and that's great. Like I said,
Yeah, they're
if I was
based out of
starting
Ohio.
out, like I can't. I mean, like I see videos of the thing. I'm like, do you know what I started out with? My first year farming, I did 2 acres, and my second and third year farming, I did 4. Do you know what that machine would have done in my life?
Your production and everything.
Oh my God. The weeds.
And I just
The weeds I would have killed.
yeah. I really like how like Tillmore's putting videos out. They have a really good website. Like that's got to be doing them great versus Market Farm Implement. They're like the next closest one to get cultivating tools.
Yeah.
There is no website.
Yeah. There is a website. Right?
There is literally it hasn't been updated since 2003 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
They're like, yeah, I talked to them about that.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, the guy who did it for me is like sick or something, and
Yeah.
so it just hasn't been updated.
Yeah. Well, I hope, like the Terrateck website, is that you see it at France. It has like we finally like last year got it all converted over to English. So there's an English version of everything, and then it just like I automatically get the emails when there's an inquiry, which is another nice system update. So like you can see all that stuff.
Comes straight to you. So yeah, somebody's dealing with an English-speaking representative
Yeah.
with experience on the machine.
Yeah. Well, Terrateck is paying for me to go over there and do like a whole manufacturing thing. So I'm going to work like 2 weeks on the line and like learn the insides of everything. Because like I just had one of these harvesters go down, and I was like, I mean, I've been like living large because like everything I sell, nothing breaks. So, you know. But I went down. I'm like, oh my God, like the motor, I couldn't figure it out at all. I was like trying. It turned out that right over here, the guys. See if I can get to it easy enough. All right. So you see this motor? So
Yep.
they were pressure washing the machine. It is a water like resistant motor. But see how nice and shiny that is?
Yeah.
So this is a 3-year-old machine. That's the brush for them to run, electric motors run on brushes. Now I can't see well enough to get it threaded back. This whole thing had filled up with water because they were pressure washing everything.
Yeah.
And they were like somehow pressure washing it, and there's an O-ring in here, and this filled all the way up with water, and then eventually the motor stopped working
Because the brush is rusted.
because the brushes rusted, and they wouldn't let the brush keep continuing going to touch the magneto, and like as soon as it doesn't touch, that's
Yeah.
what the spring does. The spring makes sure there's enough to touch it, and like, yeah, I mean, eventually I felt like a friggin' genius for figuring it out. But it's stuff like that would have been nice to know. And then, I don't know if I have a key, but like, I might have a key. I usually have the key hanging on a thing right here to open this panel up. But every motor you see on this machine has an independent motor controller on it because you can adjust the speeds independently.
Okay.
And so I had to go through and diagnose each single one. The other thing that like another customer did, they parked this thing in a greenhouse and shut the doors, and that's where they stored it because it was undercover.
Yeah.
but it gets to 120, 140 degrees, like, you know.
And really high humidity.
Yeah. So the motor controller, you ever see a printed circuit board?
Yeah.
The circuit, the printed part on the side, like literally heated up enough to pop off, delaminate from the board. So, but I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
That was like, I went through everything, and I was like, it's the module. And I was like, well, the modules are warranted, so I got another module. Put the module in, worked great, gave it back to him. A month later, doesn't work. Doesn't work. I was like, unplug the thing and give me an ohm reading across these two things. You have an ohm meter, and they did, and I was like, it's broke again. How did they do that? So then it's hard because they speak French. So I'm like talking to the guys, and like finally, he puts it together. He's like, where do they store it? And I asked him where they store it, and like in the greenhouse. And he's like, that's what it is. So you don't know these things.
That's why you're storing it in an equipment shed.
Yes, this isn't an equipment shed. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If I can ask you or direct you to do one thing, that is to go to the website for this podcast, agengpodcast.com. That's agengpodcast.com. There you'll find the show notes. You'll find links to the farmer who we chatted with today, as well as photos or videos from the call when I visited the farm. If you've got some feedback to share, my contact information's on there, or you can leave me a voicemail, and you can do that right from the link in the description in the mobile app you're listening to this to. So go ahead and do that. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a great day.